Yeah, hi guys. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Twitter, they have a lot of updating to do, I think so. So the other space just stops without any notice. I'm sorry for that. Okay, all right. So Dave, I've sent you an invite. So let's hear from Dave. Then before we can continue, so we can have our questions. So for me, I said my style will be more of a story. So I'll probably tell you the story of how I started, and I also give detailed steps of the steps I followed in making my first $1,000 for writing an article and also for building a docs for a US firm, making $6,600. So, all right, so Dave, you have the floor. Okay, guys. So I don't know what's wrong with the network. Okay, so while we're waiting for Dave, so let me start. That was time around 2020 during coronavirus. So I just came back from Kigali. Are you back? All right, Dave. You have the floor now.
Hello?
Hi, Dave. Can you hear me? All right.
I don't know what's going on with my network or your network. I don't know. Whichever of it. Can you hear me now? Hello?
I can hear you. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Uh you suggested starting as a story, which I personally prefer that. Also, I think that's more informative than just jumping into question and answers. For me, my technical writing, I think it started with just me documenting what I was learning, I believe. I had a friend, because when I'm learning, I normally take notes of what I'm learning. And I make my note very detailed and as easy to understand as possible for myself, not for somebody else, because I like to think that I'm dumb. It's just my viewpoint on things. So I like to break things down to the barest minimum. So when I come back the second time, I don't have to look at it three times. You just look at this thing one time and you just get exactly what I'm trying to explain. And I had a friend at the time that was learning JavaScript. She was struggling with event bubbling, the concept of it. And when she called me and informed me that she was struggling with the concept, I mentioned I had notes that was very simplified. I could send it to her, and she accepted. So I sent her my notes. And she told me that once she went through the notes, she just understood the concept in one go. And the way I broke it down, that she has been struggling with that concept for almost a week. But the way I broke it down, that in that my notes, she enjoyed it so much and suggested I start writing, that I should just share it. That she's very sure other people also like to learn this thing the way I explained it. So that just piqued my interest. So, and I went online, opened my Hashnode account, and that's how I started blogging, writing, technical writing. I don't think I wrote much. I think I wrote the first article and then I didn't write again, although that one kind of went, my first article kind of went viral for a while. I think it even got featured on Google's homepage on Android phones and iOS. And then after then, I don't think I wrote for a while again. And then like 3 months later, I wrote another piece again. It went viral again, got featured on several platforms. And I think I did not write again for a while because I had a lot of personal issues at the time. And then, like 2 months later, I wrote another one again. It went viral. So it's like, okay, maybe I'm good at this thing. And I think in total, I wrote 4 personal articles on my blog. Those were the only articles I had on my blog, just 4. And then I accidentally opened one of my friends' Twitter because I was very broke at the time. Not Twitter, sorry, WhatsApp. I was very broke at the time. I opened my friend's WhatsApp and saw him celebrating his new phone and new laptop. And this is a nigga that we normally just gist about how broke we are. So him celebrating a phone and a laptop was kind of surprising. So I kind of called him, how far now? How did you make this money? This one that you're celebrating phone. Did you land the front end role? He was like, no, that is technical writing, which kind of surprised me. So I was asking him exactly how he made money from technical writing that me I've been writing for free and just getting just views. And I don't think he was online to reply me at the time. So I just went on Google and started Googling on how to make money from technical writing. And then I landed on Twitter, one of, I think it's Linda's thread, where she was explaining how you could make up to $2,000 in a month by just doing technical writing. This got me really curious. And then she mentioned one or two websites that were very selective according to her. But I didn't have any choice. I wanted to risk it. So I went on Google again. I saved the website she put there. Went on Google and Googled resources for where you can get paid writing. And I came across a GitHub resource that had a lot of companies and startups that were offering openings for technical writers. So with that excitement, I applied to maybe 15 of those companies and then left it at that because the application process was kind of exhausting. You have to fill a form, so ask questions that you have to think before you answer. So for necessary information at that time is what I thought. But by the time I was done with it, I was exhausted and decided maybe I should wait for those 15 to get back to me before I apply again. I think a week or two later, I started getting replies. The first company accepted me. The second company accepted me. I think in a day, three companies accepted me. The next day, maybe two accepted me, and then they started coming one after the other. At the end of the day, at the end of that month, I had like 12 acceptance. I didn't hear back from maybe three companies. And I went on Facebook at the time I was waiting for these replies to search for places I could also apply. And I came across a company called ConfigCat that were looking for technical writers. I applied, and the guy responded immediately because I think he was online when I applied, and gave me a mini task to go and write on something, a concept called feature flagging. I should explain it with my own words, but not from any other resource on the internet, which I did and sent to him. And then he read it and got back to me and was like, he was in love with the way I explained it, and he would like to offer me technical writing role. And then he gave me my first tax, and that's how I started my technical writing. I think I wrote that tax in 3 days, submitted. The next week, he approved the tax, and I was paid 200 and $200, I think, which was like 112K at the time. And that was just mad. Like, I could not believe that you could make so much money from just writing something that I would normally write for free. So after writing for this other company, I decided, okay, this one worked. I will start taking the other companies that have accepted me seriously, and that's how I started writing for those other companies. I think to date, I have written. I think I've written well above 50 articles. Although I've learned my lessons, because when I started, I thought the more you write, the more you get paid, which was my initial view of things. So I was trying to accept as many tasks as I could at the time. But I was having a lot of burnout because writing takes a lot of mental energy, and because you have to really think before you can come up with certain ideas. Like the way you want to express it has to resonate with your readers, and that just doesn't flow out of the blue. Sometimes you have to go deep into your thought process to get into that flow of thoughts. But after writing that many articles, I started learning that sometimes it's not about quantity, it's more about quality. So I quit from most of the companies that were paying me very, very low, and started writing for only companies that were paying very, very high. Instead of taking five tax that would pay $100, $100, $100, I would take one tax that would pay $300 and maybe another tax that would pay $200. So instead of writing five tax at $100, I would write two tax, one $300, one $200. I've made my 500. Sorry, I made my $500 and I did not have to write as many articles as I would normally write when I started. I think that's my journey so far. Please don't, you can have the floor.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. A lot of dollars everywhere. All right. So for mine is very, very different because when I started as a software engineer, Android to be precise. So my company, we went for retreats in Kigali, and I was very much happy as at then. And funny enough, that was when COVID came, that period, because as we landed in Lagos, they're just checking us. So, but before then, I've had this thought about this writing stuff because a few of my friends have told me about writing pays and writing pays. I said, okay. So when we went for a retreat in Kigali, I had a few chat with my colleagues that came from Belgium, and they're telling me about writing. I was wondering, like, why is everybody talking about writing? I said, okay, so if I get back to Lagos, sorry, Port Harcourt, I will probably think about that. So while we were in the plane, I was just thinking a whole lot about everything. So came down to Port Harcourt, and I started, just like David, I started searching for companies that pay, but for Android. And it was very difficult. I don't know, because for Android, it's as if you won't even see. So, and I applied for the ones I saw, and I got the first one that paid me $200, and the second is Jab.dev. He sent me a mail via email and said, "Hey man, you applied some time ago." I was like, "Wow, I didn't even know." And we have something which I wrote for CodeCorp. If you go to CodeCorp website, you probably see my article there. So he said, "We take this for $350." I said, $350. I'm done, man. So he gave me that deal. I finished it up. We got another one. And within within me, I said, I think this development stuff is not for me. But that was earning a little bit high then. But I was just wondering, like, just one article, I have 350. Second article, 350. I said, no, no. And I did that within a week. And I started searching and I found about Write the Doc community. So I went to their job section and I was just looking at jobs they're posting. I was surprised. I checked the jobs that they posted some months before I joined. I said, these are things I can do. Why didn't I join earlier? So, and I got my first gig there. I probably I will not mention the company's name. So we struck a deal, and that is the $6,600. And they said I would build their docs and build their API docs. Yeah, the docs for the content and for the APIs. So everything came out to be 6,000, and I did that for like 5 months. That was huge. So within me, I said, since I'll slow down this coding a bit and focus more on writing. Still on the writing docs, I started applying and I got the second one. That one is five. Okay, sorry, that one is 3,300. So, and to be honest, right now I don't even code that much because, and right now I'm a full-time documentation engineer. But what made me is, I have seen that yeah, coding is fine and all that, and the writing is something I enjoy doing. And because I joined that Write the Doc community, I kind of get huge deals, not like the writing kind of deals. I get huge deals for both writing and building of docs, and that was really cool. So that's why I urge everyone to join the Write the Docs. Even up to now, if you probably check the Write the Docs currently, they have a job someone posted for contracts, and if you negotiate very well, you get paid. Least probably I think should be like 3,000 K or more. So which is what I get from there. And I got another one. These are more like freelance or part time, not full time gig. I got that one from a blockchain company, and that one is up to 5,500 because that is blockchain. I had this pretty small tax, and I got 5,500 because blockchain money is there. So, this is just my little journey and freelance part, but full time, I've been working over 2 years now as a technical writer. And I moved to a documentation manager in my company, which is a blockchain company too. So that is just my journey. So Dave, do you have anything to add before we take questions? Okay, yeah, sorry. Let me just probably give the style I use. So what I do to get the high gigs, not the $200, is I'll write the docs. when you have the hiring managers or recruiters paste or post the jobs in the channel, what I do is I have my own personalized cover letter that has all my samples. I probably say my best samples, both my API docs and my writing samples. And if you have any other thing, you know that will probably sell you, add it in the sample. And in my sample is a mix of not just one stack. I have the one I wrote about Android, the one I wrote about DevOps, just mix of all of them. And my API I used Postman, one I use OpenAPI spec. So, and to be honest, most of the jobs that I don't get are because of my location. Most that I don't get are because of my location. So whenever I post any job, I usually get them. So, but the ones I don't get majorly are because of my location. Hey, because you're from here. I almost got a job with Digital Ocean, and I don't know if the recruiter was sleeping. We've gotten to like the third stage of about. He said, sorry, like, where are you from? I said, didn't you check where I came from? He said, I said, look in Nigeria. I said, sorry, because of location. And that was how I lost that one. So I've lost so many ones because of my location, but that is not a barrier because I've still gotten other ones too. So I didn't let that location stuff, weigh me down. I've kept pushing. So that is my style, my cover letter. I could share, probably I think I'll share it, but I've gotten a lot of DMs on that. So I'll share it on Twitter so everybody can go and access it. So I have the samples I add there, and I wrote a little bit about some skills that I have, and I added one company I did 18 with. So that is more like a reference for them to see, and I post it to them. So now one mistake I know many people make is when they get to send a message on the recruiter or hiring manager, send a message anywhere, not just write the doc, anywhere. What you do, you be sending hi, hello. You're not expecting the person is not your friend, first of all. So you're not expecting the person to start interacting with you like that. So what I would advise and what I do that have worked for me so far is I just hi, I'll probably just salute the person, hi, the person's name. I'm interested in the job posted, and the next thing is my cover letter. And I've been doing that, and it has been working for me. So I think definitely to work for every other person. So, Dave, do you have anything to add before we take questions?
No, I don't. Not right now. I'm still thinking.
Okay. All right, guys. So, any questions so far?
Okay, I think I have
You
something to
can.
add.
Okay.
Okay, so I posted the resource, the GitHub resource that I used in applying for most of the jobs I got at the time, because I don't think I'm on most of those companies right now. In most of those companies right now, and a few people complained that they applied and they didn't get a response, and or they were rejected. Well, the thing is, most people apply because technical writing is getting a little, let me be honest, it's getting a little, not saturated per se, but people are getting wind of the fact that yes, technical writing has money, and they are not waiting to get to the point where they can actually call themselves a technical writer. Somebody can just wake up tomorrow, open the blog, write one or two articles, and hurriedly go and apply to these companies. You will most likely get rejected naturally because they are not looking to throw away money. They're looking for people that can bring value to their company because for them, it's business. The articles have to generate traffic that comes to their website that can be converted to customer base. You not having not having gotten to the point that your articles stand out, your articles are of quality, brings value, obviously you get rejected. And some people were like, okay, maybe it's because this company does not accept me again. That's why they are no longer, that's why they didn't accept them, which is not true. It's simply because you guys have not brushed up your writing skills to the point that, yes, you're bringing value to the table. So my advice would be to those people that were complaining is to at least write for a while for yourself. Have somebody that is more experienced review your articles and give you feedback. And then maybe when you grow to the point that yes, the person says, okay, yes, your articles are good now. you can go and apply. Then you can go and apply. That's it. That's it.
All right. Thank you.
Hello,
Thank you.
hi. I
Thank you
have
for
a
that.
question. Yeah, can you guys hear
All right.
me?
Go
Can I
ahead.
go ahead?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What I wanted to ask is that as a developer, if you want to be a technical writer, do you have to completely change maybe your resume on LinkedIn, maybe change your profile, just like full time so that the big companies can actually see you and you can actually get those larger gigs? Like, do you have to redefine your entire technical background to suit technical writing, or can you just go as a professional tech person in whatever field you are in and start applying to technical writing jobs? I'm not sure about that because you guys that are talking now, everybody knows you as technical writers. I don't think anybody is considering you a back end or a front end person anymore. So please, if I could get some clarification around that, that would be very awesome. Thank you.
Ah, you have solved also. Can I answer this one?
Yeah. I can go ahead.
Well, you have solved us for that we are no longer developers, but we are actually developers because most of the articles, personally for me, most of the articles I write are very code oriented. Like the articles that have to work with things that you have probably not learned. As a developer, I have to work with those first, understand how they work before I start writing about them. I don't just write. So I am a developer, even if I'm fronting as a technical writer. But back to your question, most companies actually prefer to have a developer, somebody that has a developer background, than somebody that is just a technical writer in the word technical writer. They are not looking for writers, they're looking for people that are technical. So you do not actually need to revise your profile or twist it. So far as you can write and you have samples, which is what they look at. They don't look at your background first, they look at your writing samples. Most companies I've written for that have accepted me, when their feedback comes, I notice that they always make emphasis on how their team reacted to my samples. And they always mention the samples that they were mostly interested in. And most of them are code oriented, not my theoretical samples. So if you're a developer and you have a strong developer background and you're a technical writer, I would advise you put out your best work as a technical writer. That's it. Wisdom, if you
All
have
right.
anything to
So
add, feel free.
yeah, let me add to that. So for me, from my own experience, for the ones that I've applied, same with what Dave says, is it favors developers more than just a pure writer that wants to be a technical writer. But what I would advise is you would have a specialized or a personal cover letter when you're applying for each roles, for technical writing, for content writing, for front end or for back end. So for technical writing, you would have a separate cover letter that would now have your samples, your best samples of all your written works, and everything that covers the technical ecosystem, starting from a sample to if you have SDK documentation you have done in the past, if you have built any docs from scratch using Docker code method, you can share it there. If you have an API docs you have built also, that is the only way. So the only thing I can advise is your profile should be the way it is. Your LinkedIn profile should be the way it is. You don't have to change it. The only thing you have to work on is your cover letter to have your best samples. And your cover letter would have, I will share my own, so you probably get some ideas from there. Should have your skills, and that is what they're looking at, your skills, your samples in all areas that suits what they want. That's all. All right, thank you.
Okay, I understand perfectly. My key takeaways are that you don't have to change your profile, but then you should always have a professional cover letter to present regarding your technical writing background. And then you should also have your, like, you can leave your LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn as it is, and just keep applying. So thank you guys so much. I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry,
All right.
can I add something to that?
Sure, sure.
She mentioned resume, which is nice to have, especially when you're on that the Slack, right? The
Yeah,
docs
yeah.
website. But when it comes to companies like there are content marketing agencies that I mostly write for. Websites like contentlab.com or is it .org, draft.dev. These companies are not really interested in your resume per se. They just have a form. If you go to their website to apply, they have a form you fill. They'll ask you very basic question, your name, this, that. There's no slot for you to submit a resume. The only field they'll give to you is to give them 3 samples. Most of the companies will ask for 3 samples of your best work. They will make their decision based on those 3 samples. So yes, resume does help truly, especially in that write the docs on Slack. But when you're dealing with content marketing agencies, they do not accept resumes. The ones I've dealt with, I don't know about others. I don't know every content writing agencies. So I would advise you just go with your best work before your resume. If you're dealing with these companies, I would advise you put more emphasis on having very sound articles when going in than brushing up resume. That's just it.
All right.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So, the Hood, you have a question?
All right. Good evening. Thank you for the great session so far. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. So my question is, first, does it matter what platform you're writing on? For example, I used to write on this Dev2 platform because I think it helps developers to like get more traction. So does it matter if you write on that platform? And second, your sample, does it have to be popular articles?
Can I answer this?
Yeah, I can go ahead, man.
Okay. The first question, which is, does it matter what platform you write on? Absolutely no. Some companies are even willing to accept drafts, not actually published work, like raw draft that you have not published it. So far as you are the author, it's not a plagiarized work. You wrote it yourself. That's just what they're interested in. That is the answer to your first question. The second question, which is, does your article have to be popular? I believe the first answer already says that.
Yeah, actually.
The fact that they are willing to accept drafts means it does. No, they don't care, even if it's one view. What they are looking at is the quality, your writing ability. How coherent are you? Can you break down complex concept and make it digestible? And then they rate you on maybe, it depends on how interested they are in. Most companies have editors, in-house editors that does the editing when you submit your work, because they understand that before you're a technical writer, you are a developer. So most times you're not sound in English in terms of grammar structure. So they usually have a very sound in-house editor that edits your work before it goes live. I've dealt with some that don't have. Those ones will require you to submit articles that are very well brushed up, polished. And then the ones that have editors, in-house editors, do not really care how you write it, so far as you're breaking this concept to the barest minimum that somebody can understand. Even if you make mistakes, your punctuations are all over the place, they would help you brush up your article.
All right. Thank you very much, David.
All right. So to add to that, what he said is absolutely true. But I know a company I applied for that they require send an article on dev.to. Now the reason is because of Markdown. So it's not like it's mandatory for you to use dev.to or hash because of Markdown, but they required that because they wanted to know if I have Markdown experience. So that was the reason why they requested that. So, but what Dave said is absolutely true. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. That Markdown you just mentioned, I even forgot about it. I would advise anybody that wants to go into technical writing to actually understand Markdown. Most companies I've dealt with require you to submit your articles in Markdown format, not in docs. Or I've dealt with companies that actually prefer docs, but most companies actually prefer it as Markdown. So I would advise you have an understanding of that.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, thank you. So while you're waiting for questions, I would also want to advise, because for me, the biggest gigs I've gotten are not from writing sample articles, is majorly building of docs. And you need to have that Markdown experience. You need to know how Docker code works. You need to know how to work with most, or like most of the static site generators that are available, and which I have worked with myself. I've worked with MKDocs, Docsify, Gitbook, Readme.io, and a lot of them. So even my current company, you're using Gitbook. And even you need to learn API docs too, because before, it's not like technical writers. If you work in a very big company, you might just be doing one task. Maybe either you're building one part of the docs or you're just doing API docs. But nowadays we are having so many startups around, and most of them will require you to be almost everywhere. You be the one to do the API docs, right? Like in my company, that is what I kind of do, because I'm a lone writer there, so I must do everything myself. So imagine I can't do that. I don't think they'll probably require my service. So it would be nice you know how to build docs, and you know how to build and write API docs also, and learn Markdown is very, very important. If you want to go as a freelancer, it's very, very important too. All right, Izin, I think you have a question.
Okay, I have a question just about exactly what you just said. You said that you mostly write docs, and my question is that, do you just pick any random API out there and start writing a doc on it as your sample, or like it's better to maybe target those that don't have docs already, or can you rewrite other docs that you have seen, that kind of thing? That's my question.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. For me, like what I did, I picked an existing docs so that I can have my own version of it that I can submit, because I will tell them this is what I built. So I picked an existing doc to rebuild it I picked two. So one I used Postman, the other one I used OpenAPI Spec. Reason is because I want them to know I'm versatile. I can work with anyone, because some companies will tell you we need somebody that has both Postman and OpenAPI Spec. Some will tell you if you've built with any tool, you can build with the one, because some have different in-house, some don't use an interactive tool. So for me, it doesn't matter. So what's your second question?
Okay, no, I don't have two questions. Like, that's just the one. So thank you.
Okay, yeah, sure. All right. Any other question? Okay, Dave, you have any
I guess I
question?
can ask something else if nobody's asking. Sorry for all the questions. I just want to be clear.
No, go
Okay,
ahead, go
so
ahead.
in my own technical writing experience, yeah, so I've noticed that there are like two categories of technical writing. I don't want to call them categories per se, but there's those like draft.dev that just take your articles, random articles, and then they're like full-blown companies that want you to write for them. And it's like the full-blown companies, of course, their pay is higher. So would it be better, like for somebody that wants to really focus on the ones that, like, assuming that you have technical experience, so yeah, to focus on the ones that are very, very that have more potential to pay more than all these other random gig work basically?
Can
Okay, I
I?
think Dave will be in a better position to answer that.
You tagged me. Okay. The two companies you're talking about is the companies I highlighted earlier. The first group, which is the one that mostly into what you're those ones are called content marketing agencies, like the draft.dev, content lab. Those are content marketing agencies. They have companies that are their clients that give them requests. We want somebody to write. We want you guys to give us an article on so topic. They would come up with the topic structure of the article and then pitch it to their writers, which is you or anybody that is in their team that is a writer. And then people would request for the article, and then they will pick probably the best match for it, or the person that asks for it first, that is qualified to write it, and then you can go and write it. Yes, they pay more because, like I said, they have clients which are very big companies, and the companies might register with them for, like, the company might register and say, in a month we will give you 4 articles and you pay us $10,000. Is that mad? And then they will be paying their writers maybe $500, $400, $700. It just depends on the quality of the article that you're requesting for. And then they keep the other change to themselves. And then the second category of companies that you mentioned, those are startups and normal companies that kind of need content that would help generate traffic on their business page. So if a user comes to read on a blog, they can maybe place an advert of what they actually do, and then they can convert maybe a few percentage of their readers to actual customers. That's how they make their own money. Yes, these companies, it's not all of them, funny enough. I have met companies, these normal startups that actually need traffic to generate on their blog so they can convert to customers that pay way more than content marketing agencies. For instance, pajamas. I write for pajamas, and pajamas, although they don't make it public, pajamas pays me $500 per article. And I've written an article. My first article for pajamas was around $800. That was on Remix. And then I've written for another company, which is Flycode. Flycode is like a very small startup. They don't even have that many users, but they're willing to pay up to $700 for an article. But then content marketing agencies have more articles. They have more writing opportunities. So it's easier to get tax from them than it is to get from some startups because they do once in a while writing. It's not like something they rely on a lot. It's just they have you, maybe you have a pitch you send to them. If they have funds at that moment, they will accept and you guys will negotiate on the amount and then they pay. I don't know if I made sense.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Thank you both. I understand perfectly.
All right.
All right. So, guys, any other questions so far? You guys should be having burning questions already.
Okay. While nobody's talking or you're thinking, I should clarify. As a technical writer, see Wisdom, for instance, he does more of docs. And as he has pointed out, if you have not noticed, he earns around $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000 per articles. Those are docs. And like he said, I don't know if he mentioned it, docs actually pay more than normal blog articles because, sorry, because docs is like it's like a foundation to what a company bases their stacks on. So they are willing to pay more for that. Whereas on a normal, regular content marketing agency or startup, they need as many articles as possible so they can generate traffic. So they cannot pay you the way somebody that is looking for a docs creator would pay. So if you actually want more money, I would advise you go into learning how to create docs. But if you want to earn faster, you would probably want to start with blogs. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, so that's fine. Like I said earlier, docs have right now I don't write more on articles. I just look at for companies that want me to build their docs. And currently I have one already still on building and revamping docs, but I won't be spilling out the amount. But that's fine. But that is what I focus my energy on right now, building docs and maybe at some point maybe write 1 or 2 articles. But at the moment I don't do write articles for both content marketers or probably writing agencies. So that is where I focus on because of I think that is my what I say Sapa escape route or something. All right, guys. So let's take questions from Victorious.
Okay, well done, everyone. My question is, are companies flexible with their form of payment? Like, are there some companies that if you want to work with them, they'll be like, you need to have a PayPal account, or are companies okay with you having a different, payment, a different way of accepting payment? And if a company wants to work for, is strict with their form of payment, is there a way to go around it? That's my question.
Okay. All right. So I have one answer. I guess Dave can pick up from there. So I wrote, and I guess I built a docs for a company in Czech Republic, and I had issues receiving that money. So they tried wire transfer, they tried everything possible. So I got an advice from a friend to use this flutter with Bata.ng. Bata, if you probably check my Twitter way back, Bata and GT, I'm still struggling to know if actually my $2,000 got to me because I was paid $4,600 or $4,400, and I only got $2,000 now through Bata, and it was hell just to get that. So I used Bata that period, and up to now I don't even trust Bata, so I can't advise for that. But most of the contracts that I do, they are wire transfer. Even my current company, I don't even need to give them a payment platform. They just request for my details, and I'll give it to them, my dollar account, and boom, month end I see. So, but most other writing agencies and firms, I guess I've not worked with so many that Drive.dev was just straight to my accounts. I didn't do so. I don't know if Dave, you have an idea more on that. So for me, it's just wire transfer. The last one I used was Bata, and Bata battered me. So that's it. So Dave.
Well, this problem I have faced severally. I got into a company recently, I think November, which is CodaPad, and they insisted I have to use Pioneer. They have most companies that are well established, that have a lot of employees, cannot actually afford to do wire transfer to each staff. So they normally have a payroll system that pays their staffs by default at the end of the month. And that payroll system has a partner that they use. If it's Payoneer, there is nothing on earth that you will tell that company that will make them break that their policy. Unless you're a very important writer, you would have to create a Payoneer account, PayPal account. If you come across one of those companies, if the company is not very big, they can be flexible around that and say, okay, maybe you should send them a US bank account and they will do direct transfer. But if it's a company that is very well established, that has a lot of staff, most likely they will not adjust for you because that would mess up their whole accounting system. So that's it. Some companies will require you to use PayPal. You cannot change their policy if it's strictly that. Some companies will give you options. They'll say either you give them a PayPal account, a Payoneer account, or social accounts. You cannot choose between those. But anyone that is strict about that, you cannot change it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I just remembered. I that was 2021 or 2020 set of Google Season of Docs, which I participated in, and I was paid $3,000 then. So they paid that through my Pioneer, but the deduction wasn't funny. Then I don't know if they have changed. So the issue is with the platform most of the time.
Okay, thank you. I understood the question now and I love the answers. I have another question. If the company is flexible with their form of payments, is there any platform you can recommend for receiving USD that is very okay and their customer base is reliable?
Okay. Personally, most companies I work with do wire transfers. I am not a fan of Payoneer because their charges are outrageous. I hate PayPal even more than I hate Payoneer because those bastards, excuse me, blocked my account out of the blue and my funds got withheld for no absolute reason because probably I'm accessing their platform from Nigeria. You guys know how it is. So what I would advise, what I use currently, I mostly do wire transfer because that's the most reliable I've had. And it's mostly either I'm using this Gray Finance or GeekPay. These are the two companies that I use. I've never had an issue. If I've had an issue, is that they made payment and the money didn't appear on time. Maybe 2-3 days, maximum 5 days, and then the money will land in my account. And their charges are not that outrageous. It's not even high. It's just basic fees that they collect. So I would advise you open a virtual account with one of them, Grey or GitPay, and then use that to collect your money. I don't think you have issues if it's that, because it's wire transfer. Any other one that Wisdom has, I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it's been wire transfer. The last one was paper. Okay, the last one was Butter, and Butter battered me, like I said earlier. So I wouldn't advise you to use Butter because up to now, I don't. I'm not even sure if my $2,000 is still with them or is still with GT or is just on the air like that. So for me, they are not reliable. So I think you go with David's advice.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So let's go with cost power.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Your mic has been disturbing us.
Sorry. Okay. My question is kind of odd. I don't know. Let me go ahead. Actually, I got into this like the tech space just last month, and I'm very much interested in technical writing. And I found out that you need to have a good developers background before you can enter into technical writing. So my question is, should I focus on being a front end for now? Then when I gain like more experience before entering into technical writing? That's my question.
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So my background is I used to be a very, very good developer. I used to love coding. I would spend hours upon hours typing away in my VS Code, forgetting to eat until my body is shaking, until I got into technical writing. Hmm? If I tell you that in the last week, I I did not spend up to 20 hours last week. I did not spend up to 20 hours in my VS Code. It seems like a joke. Not because I don't write code. I do write code, and it has to do with the tasks that I'm on. Some tasks actually require research, a lot of research. I have to understand the topic. I have to play around. Before I can fully grasp the topic I'm trying to explain, it can take me a whole week, and that week I might not code because I'm just trying to understand how this technology works, what is going on under the hood. So, if you are learning to code, I would not advise you jump into it. I would advise you document what you're learning. Whenever you learn something new, you can write about it. That kind of enhances your learning, builds on your skill. Hmm? But once you jump into technical writing when your foundation is not strong, two things happen. For me, when I started initially, I joined Pajamas, and the first task they gave to me was when Remix came out. I don't know if any of you know Remix. It's a React framework. They wanted to be the first company to write on Remix, and they needed to write a beginner's guide for Remix. Hmm? And there were no resources online for that Remix framework. It was limited, not that there was none, but it was very limited. And they wanted me to write on it in a week. They wanted me to write a beginner's guide on Remix, on how to start with Remix and build things with it, with lack of resource, and they gave me a week as timeline. So I had a week to learn a new framework to the point that I can actually write a guide on it. As you can imagine, this is not a task that a beginner is learning to code can handle if you go into technical writing without strong foundation. And the fact that, say, 1 minute I'm working on React, and then a company might require me to learn a new framework in a week, meaning I have to abandon what I'm doing right now and work on that framework, learn a new framework, and build on that. Another company can ask me now to work on a Vue article. Now I have to learn Vue. Another company might require me to learn Next.js. Now I have to jump on Next.js. Are you seeing how you're spreading yourself thin? So if your foundation is not strong, you would be, I don't know if we're allowed to curse here, but you would be fucked. So I don't know if I answered that question correctly. My advice is learn first, document what you're learning. That builds on your current skill. If you jump into technical writing too early, they will spread you too thin. At the end of the day, you would be a master of a lot. And sorry, you'll be, how did they make that phrase? I can't recall it
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Master of
I
all,
forgot him too.
Abby.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Thank you. Sorry, my brain is
Okay.
having
All
Okay,
right.
I
issues.
So
understand.
to, to add to what Dave said, um, the bad side of it is that you might not even be a successful technical writer. That is just the truth. Because at that moment you'll be struggling just to even learn. So imagine you're a very good developer and you're learning a new language. It might take you a few days to get on your feet and start doing things compared to who doesn't even know much about programming. So, like Dave said, it's best you take your time and document what you're doing. That will really help than jumping into it. And like I said again, the bad side is you won't succeed because you would fail at every given opportunity. And you might not even get a big gig because your samples will not. I know somebody that told me about she got a big gig and very huge gig and lost it because of technical debt. So I, like you said, take your time, learn, and document it along the line. All right, thank you, God's power, for that.
Okay,
So
I think I have another question. Like, what is documenting? I don't really understand the term documenting. What does it mean?
Okay. I I think you're confusing what I meant by documenting. There is documentation, which is to document a technology. When I said you should document your learning, I meant blog about the thing you're learning. For me, that is what I did. If I learned a new concept, I would be very excited about the concept and I want to explain it to others the way I understood it. So I would write an article on it. That is me documenting what I actually learned. It's not documentation in the word documentation. It's just a word I use to say blog about, write about the things you're learning. You're going to be building your developer skill and at the same time building your technical writing skill because you're writing about the things you're learning. So it's a win-win.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
all right, thank you, God's power. So let's hear from Dija.
All right. Good evening. Thank you
Yeah, good
all for
evening.
this space. I don't know if I'm audible enough.
We
Yeah,
can
yeah.
hear you.
All right. Thank you guys for this space. Really appreciate. I want to ask if it will be possible for you to like give us a step-by-step guide, like things we need to learn, maybe tools we need to acquire or skills we need to hang on to. You know, like let's say you want to learn web development, and they say you learn HTML and CSS. If we could get a guideline like that for someone who is trying to get into technical writing for the first time. And please, Mr. Wisdom, we're actually waiting for the template for the samples. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. So I would probably after this call, I would share it on Twitter. So I probably just opened the guide because my technical writing mentorship program is ongoing, and I personally created the curriculum for that, and I think the curriculum would fit in fine. So starting from here, what I have is one, you need to understand the intro to technical writing. That's one. You need to understand the goal of technical writing and technical writing life cycle. The life cycle, just like we humans, software, they have all their own life cycle, starting from planning to structure to write to review and to publish. You need to understand how that works. You need to understand the writing ethics. You don't just like Dave would say the other day that looking at any chat GPT article, he would know. So, which means that is like plagiarism. So, trying to copy people's idea and pasting it like that. So writing ethics is just like rules, grand rules. We all have grand rules in our houses or in our personal life. Like some other guys will say, no matter what happens, 6 p.m. I'll be at home. Just like when you're little, no matter what happens, you're not home by 6 p.m. Definitely you get flogged and all that. Or don't go out on that end and play. So those are rules. Now in writing, they have rules. You don't copy somebody's article or idea without citing them, letting people know that this article or this paragraph is owned by this person. They have several ways of citation. I don't think I have that much time to explain that. One of the ways you do is like you use according to, let's say Dave wrote an article and I love this introduction. I will say according to Dave, I'll pick up the definition that this, and this is that. So anybody reading it will know that, okay, this article, this line is owned by Dave. So I cited Dave, which means I gave him the credit for doing a very nice job. Now, the citation is not only on articles. You can do that on music and images. Just like Burna Boy, at least they talked about, he collected a background sound from a foreign musician and he paid 60% or thereabout just for the sound, not even the entire song itself. So there are penalties to that. So going forward, you need to understand writing style guide. So there are styles of doing things. You know, looking at Man U now, you know that this is Man U jersey. Whenever you see anybody putting on that jersey, you know that this jersey, na Man U jersey, this is Arsenal, and this is Chelsea, and this is any other club. So you need to understand writing style guide and how to use the writing style guide, because that would give your company a tool, consistent tool across all documents. And like also using existing writing style guide. Like I wouldn't advise creating your own because it's tedious. So you can use the existing one like Apple style guide, MLA, Google style guide, Microsoft style guide. You learn about those style guides. You study those style guides, then learn how to implement them when you're writing. So you have a consistent tool across all your documents. You need to understand information architecture now, which is how you structure your article to make it easier for people to find. If you go to some documentation, you would see first you see introduction, the next you see installation, the next thing you would see will be something easier for you to do, probably maybe setup or thereabout. So imagine the first you're seeing features, the next one you're seeing setup. You'll be so confused, and you need to learn how it works and need to learn the value of that. So now bringing that into your content, the way you label it and the way you format your articles also matters in information architecture. You're having your title should be bigger than every other text there. The next subtitles will be a little bit smaller, so you can differentiate when this is this and what is. Now you also learn about the labeling, you also learn about your listing, when to use 1, 2, 3, when to use dot or dash or thereabout. So that comes in information architecture. Those features will make it easier for somebody to find your content and easily read and understand and enjoy it. So you need to learn about Git and GitHub, Markdown. You need to learn about command line. It's very important. So command line interface. Learn how to create user guides, white papers, installation. Let me call it guides. Let me call it how to guides. Then maybe a little bit of the content marketing side, learn about SEO and how to implement it. Now, very important, which many people might disagree, but for me, I think it's very, very important because I call technical writers QA writers. So like Dave said, talked about, you need to learn more about that language very well. So you don't write something you don't know. So you need to test very well. That is the QA skill. So you need to know how to test. So what if they give you something you don't know about? You study about it. The next thing is by testing it. And while you're testing, you're testing like a QA person because you're testing like you want to find a fault in it. That would now give you a very good understanding of that tool or that feature. And then you can now write very well about that. Then you need, in the software world, you need to learn about intro to programming, starting with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to start with. Then you can go further to learn other languages that probably suit you. Then learn about REST APIs, how to document APIs using interactive API tools like OpenAPI Spec, Postman, and every other output that is possible for APIs. Then you learn about Docker code, how to work with it, how to use it, static site generators, how to build a basic documentation site that will make it easier for you to get hired. Then learn about portfolio, how to build your portfolios and all that. Then learn about charts, because there are articles you will write, you will need to create charts yourself. You need to create some illustrations, and you also need to create little graphics where you probably put some arrows, or you're putting a circular or triangular line to differentiate, making it easier for somebody to see. For example, you're writing about a login screen. I want somebody to know that this is the button. You probably circle the button with a red line, or probably point it with the red arrow that this is the button I'm talking about, so they would understand. So I guess that is all. So probably follow these steps, then you probably come out the best. So Dave, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Something to add. Well, okay. Most people complain that they kind of struggle to come up with ideas when they are writing. And that's mostly because I had that issue too. Most people start, say you're writing a blog, for instance. Most people have an idea of what they want to write about. Maybe it's how to use, how to build, I don't know. Let's just say it's how to create a component in React. They just jump head first into the article and start writing, trying to come up with ideas from within the article while they are writing, which is usually a wrong process of writing. Based on my understanding, you're able to write an article faster when you have structure for the article. As if you have a structure for an article, that's 50% of the job done already. Say if you're in the intro, for instance, without any structure, you'll be thinking, okay, how am I supposed to write this intro? You're trying to come up with ideas. And then when you're done with the intro, you finally write that intro. You will now be brainstorming again. Where should you take this article next? What is your next step? All of that kind of consumes time and mental energy. Whereas if you already did your research and came up with the structure for the article, for instance, intro, prerequisites, what is React, how React works, and it's progressive. You already have a progressive structure. So once you start writing, you look at this part, okay, I'm at the intro. You can write the intro, you can do your research on that intro. Once you're done with that intro, you know your next move immediately. What is prerequisites? You list the prerequisites of what is required for that article. Next step, what is React? You can jump out, go and do your research. What is React? Come up with ideas, come back, write. See, you have a fluid thought process because you have something that is guiding you. But if you were to write that without that structure, you would struggle a lot. In short, that writing can take a week before you can finish it. Whereas if you have a structure, 2-3 days, you can finish an article. So that's my contribution. When you're writing, always have a structure to guide you.
All right, thank you. So, Dija, I hope you answered your question.
Yes. Satisfied. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So, guys, do you have any other question before we wrap it up? Hello, do we have any other question? Let me check where we have. Okay, so I'm seeing. Okay, Dija.
In the comment section, I think I also want to ask, do you have a technical writing program running? And if yes, how can one join it?
Okay, yeah, it's running at the moment, and the form is closed because we have over 800 and something mentees, and that's very stressful for me to manage, me and my team to manage. So, but at the moment, you're not accepting anybody, but the videos are live. I'll probably share the YouTube channel so you can follow up. The videos are live. I always post the videos, and I also post what I want to say. Okay, yeah, the assignments too. So the only difference is those that are in the program will get their assignments reviewed by me and my team. But if you can do the assignment on your own, maybe if I'm free any day, I might just post for anybody to drop any article for me to help them review that. But the only difference is you don't get your assignment reviewed, and you're not on the live call. You only get the recorded call too, and you don't get your question answered at that time. So sorry for that, man. Okay, so
All right, that's cool. That's cool.
all right. So Dave, we have a question. Someone is asking, can someone with no coding experience, with no coding or technical writing experience, become a technical writer? And what aspect of technical writing should he focus on? I mean, how can non-coding person become a technical writer? Example, maybe him, digital marketing.
You want me to answer this, Wisdom? You want us to fight here? This is my take, entirely my take. As a technical writer that I am trying to run away from. There's money in technical writing, but nobody tells you this upfront. But technical writing is bloody hard. Most people think it's easier being a technical writer than it is being a developer, which is a very wrong misconception that I don't know who is spreading. I have a lot of friends that are sound as developers. When I say sound, they are sounder than I am, if that's a word. But technical writing is a different ball game entirely. You cannot, like Wisdom said, you cannot write on what you don't understand. If not, when somebody else that has even the slightest bit of depth comes to read that piece, the person would know that whoever wrote this thing does not know what he or she is talking about. You'll be writing on the surface level as a technical writer without technical background. Like I said, I have friends that are very sound developers that struggle in technical writing. Not because they are bad developers, they are sound developers. But technical writing is hard. It's forget the money that everybody will be calling you. They collected 3K, I collected 2K, I collected $500. That aside, the money aside, technical writing is bloody hard. If I am a developer and I am struggling in technical writing as a developer, can you imagine how it would be for you that does not have a technical background? I know some people encourage you. You don't need to have technical skill. You can go and fight your battle, and maybe once you can succeed. But I promise you, if they give you 20 tasks, you'd fail at 19. Unless those tasks unless you're a very good researcher. There are people that for me, I'm a very good researcher. I can take a topic that I know zero thing about, and in a few hours, my tabs will be filled up. I would have scanned, consumed to the point that when I rewrite about that topic, you would think I am an expert at it. But no, it's just because I know how to assimilate when I do my research. So when I write from a point of I understand because I've actually done research. So if you fall into these groups that are very sound at researching, there are certain types of articles that you could succeed writing. All these theoretical, conceptual articles that are not technical. Somebody can tell you to introduce a theoretical concept, maybe web applications as a topic. You can go and research what is web application, read on it, understand it, come and write. But that can only take you so far because most of the tasks you work on actually require technical knowledge. They can ask you to write about for instance, I got a task 2 days ago that requested I build a mini application, a micro front end application that I have not worked on before. Now I'm required to write on micro front end that before now I did not know anything about. Now I know about it. But I'm sure if they give someone that has no coding background and they say you have to actually explain and build an example of an app with it, there's nothing you can tell me that will make you succeed at that task. You would fail woefully because your background already is non-existent. So if you don't already have the coding background, how are you supposed to grasp the whole concept of the micro front end? Which is my advice. Always, if it's technical writing in the sense of technical writing that you want to do, that requires coding, you should learn how to code. But then there are fields that don't require coding, which are people like UX design. Some people tell you, yes, you can actually do UX design as a technical writer without knowing how to code. But even at that, you actually have to have a designer's background. You have to know UX. You have to know how to design before you can be a UX designer. So in each of the field you want to go into, you actually have to be technical in that field, regardless of whether it involves coding or not. If somebody tells you can write as a technical writer in the medical field, you actually have to be a medical personnel. Because if you go as someone that just average with average knowledge, you're now going to the medical field and want to write on medical terms, medical technicalities, you would be lost. You would even confuse yourself when you're writing because you're writing about something you do not understand. So let nobody advise you to go into technical writing because there's money in it. You want to make money. If you want to go into whichever technical writing field, get technical in that field and then branch into the writing part of that field. That's the only way you can succeed. Thank you.
All right. So we have has it left? Okay, guys. So I think okay, Daniel.
All right. Thank you. This is my first time in this space. I actually have two things to say. I think I have one question and I have a contribution. So I'll just go with my contribution first before I ask my question. Um, I'm a developer and I've been in software space for over 8 years now. And I discovered that most times when I want to put the pen on the paper or write something on Medium or share something on Medium or probably, come up with something expository, I just freeze. Even though I have the idea of what I want to write, I have the technical know-how, but to really communicate it in such a way that uh, compared to what I read on Medium, compared to what articles I read, I know I don't have that skill. And sometimes it's always very overwhelming and it's quite challenging that, oh, you have something right there inside your head that you want to share with people, but each time you just start typing, you get lost because you don't structure it. So I've been learning a lot on this live presently, and I want to ask because you said the forms are already closed and you are already going through this session. Please, can we actually follow up? How can we follow up to be able to know probably when the next session will come up? Because I would really love to be a part of something like that.
All right, thank you, Daniel, for the question. Okay, I would also share the Twitter handle that you follow up because we post the videos and we post the assignment so everybody can follow up. But yeah, so I guess that is what I will do. I will share the Twitter handle. Then for the next cohort, this year is already I would say congested for me. So, and I'm inviting what class speakers. So I don't think they might probably want to come back again this same year with their own timeline. So I guess it should be next year. That I looked at that for next year. So, but the videos are up. If you follow up the Twitter handle, you would always see the videos. Each meeting we want to have or each class we want to have, we always post that. Like the next class, we're talking about open source. So after then, you get to see the video. Then whenever we have assignments, we'll still share it there for everybody to follow up. But the difference, like I said earlier, is you don't get a review about your assignment. So you can just go ahead, except maybe send Dave a message to review your assignment. So that's all for now. So I will share the Twitter handle, then follow it up, then you get all the updates you need about the program, assignments, to classes, to everything you need. Okay, so all right, thanks, Dad. So do you have any other question? Or Dave, you have the contribution before we close?
I want to correct that comment. You already know how time management is in this role, and I actually do not have time to review. Like I
Yeah,
have to review for a living, and it's time consuming. So outside
yeah,
of
sure.
work, I tend to avoid those. It's not that I don't want to help; it's just I don't have the time. I'm always on something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I was kidding though, but I know you don't have that much time to review. Okay, so who did I invite? Who? Invited somebody or accepted the request. Okay, guys. So do you have any other question before we? Is it okay? Is it love? Love. So go ahead with the question. So maybe we can wrap up with your question. Uti love.
Oh, hi guys. So
Yeah, hi.
I'm just joining this space now. Like I just got to this space, and yeah, my question. I don't know if you guys have community I can join, because I know there will have been a lot you guys will have talked about that probably would have missed. So I wouldn't want to ask things you guys have talked about earlier. So I don't know, are there communities I can actually join? Because personally, I wouldn't say I'm writing for money yet. I just share content of things I learn. I'm a DevOps engineer, so things I learn, I try to share content about them outside there. But I think later along the line, I would love to go deep into technical writing. So if there are communities I can join that you can actually just point me to learn better along the line, pending when I go fully into it, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we have an existing community already, and I will share the Twitter handle after this call, so you can go ahead and follow them. So we have a Slack channel too, but we will think about accepting people for now. Let's just wrap up the program, and we have it's very transparent, it's open source, so everything about the program is being posted on both the LinkedIn profile and Twitter handle. So you get to follow up with the classes like you're in the community, but there are little perks that won't get to you, but you probably enjoy it. Okay, guys. So Dave, anything to wrap up before we close?
Nope, I think I've said all that needs to be said, unless somebody has a question.
Yeah. Okay. So do we have any question before we wrap it up? Okay.
All right.
Silencing. No
I guess that's the wrap up.
question. Okay.
Till
So thank
next
you
time.
guys for joining. We appreciate your time. So we'll probably think about a different topic to talk about. Okay. Now let me ask. So do you have any topic you would like us to create a space about? Maybe for next time or next week or this week? Okay. Maybe you can just probably share it under the
I think
tweet.
somebody's raising their hand. Michael.
Michael, I'm not seeing the hand. I didn't even get any request.
Okay.
Michael,
Yes, he's
I
still
can't
lifting his
see.
hands.
Okay.
Have you seen him?
Michael. No. Okay, so you can accept him if you can from here. I'm not seeing Michael.
Well, they don't allow, I don't think they allow anybody other than the
Okay.
host.
Okay. So Udwak. Udwak, so do you have a question or you have a topic we'll talk about the next case? Hi, Udwak. Okay, so Udwak, are you there? All right, guys. So you can suggest the topic you think you like us to talk about in the next space. Then we'll look for free time and chat like this. Okay, thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Dave, for your time, and thank you, everyone. Good night
Thank you
and
for
God bless
having
you.
me. Good night.
Udwak, you're raising your hand now. Space has closed, though.
Sorry,